Y'all know what time it is. Time for a Thursday Tunes. The camera is set up a little bit further back than normal for today. That's because I'm going to be talking about a record that I bought last weekend at a store. And it's this record by Shirley Bassey called Never Never Never. So I got this at a place in town, a vintage store that's mostly a clothing store apparently, called Lace and Arsenic, which is quite an interesting name for a store, but we kind of just popped in there because they had clothes, and I like buying cheap kind of old clothes. But most of the clothes in there were for women. However, as I was looking around, I saw they had this pile of records kind of in random places around the store, and they were only $5 each, which is pretty cheap for records. And most of their stuff was crap anyway, either in terms of the condition of the record itself or in terms of the artists that they had, because most of them were artists that I didn't like. But I ended up getting two records. So one is this Shirley Bassey one. There's another one over there by Bootsy Collins and the Rubber Band Band, I think. Yeah. I haven't listened to that one yet, but I'm sure I'll like it because I like all the Parliament Funkadelic stuff. But yeah, I took some notes about this one. So it's by Shirley Bassey. Many of you may have heard her voice before, but don't know the person. So just a little bit of background. And first I'll start off with why I bought this record. So I guess just kind of briefly, my whole idea when I buy records is I want to buy stuff that from artists that I've either never heard before or the cover itself looks interesting. So this one in particular, I saw what I thought was a smiling black woman who had an afro, and after I bought it and kind of looked at it later, I realized this is probably just like a hat or the hood to her coat. So it's not an afro, but at the time I was like, a smiling black woman in an afro. Her name is Shirley Bassey, and it's an album called Never Never Never. This has to be some amazing R&B. So that's why I bought it, and it was $5. So $5 with all of those kind of ideas that I had, I couldn't pull away, so I bought it. But yeah, Shirley Bassey, she's from Wales, which is a country, part of the United Kingdom. I'm not going to get into the whole United Kingdom, Britain, England, all that stuff, but she's from Wales, which is United Kingdom. Her dad is Nigerian, her mom is from England. And just kind of a quick, very brief synopsis of her career. I mean, she started out in the 50s, so she has a very long career, but she got really popular from doing several songs for the James Bond movies. So one of this, she did the theme song for Goldfinger, also Diamonds Are Forever and Moonraker. And I'll come back to Diamonds, or I'll just talk about Diamonds Are Forever and right now. So the reason I said many of you might have heard her voice before, one, if you've seen those old James Bond movies, then you've heard her singing. But if you listen to the song Diamonds from Sierra Leone by Kanye West, and there's the sample, Diamonds Are Forever, that's her voice in that song. So I didn't know that at all until I looked her up and saw that. So it's like I've been hearing this person's voice off and on since that song came out in 2005, I think. But it's not until 15 years later that I actually sat down and listened to her music and made the connection that that's her. So it's that's the cool thing about rap, I think, is that you have all of these samples, and it's interesting when you go back and listen to older music and you hear where the sample came from, which is something that's been happening a lot as I've started to listen to a lot of older music, particularly blues and a lot of old R&B and funk. So she's actually, Shirley Bassey is actually the first Welsh person, so first person from Wales to get a #1 hit in the U.S. So that happened back in 1959. So like I said, her career has been going on for a while, and it's for a song called As I Love You. So most of her songs are kind of stereotypical pop R&B theme songs for that time period, and maybe even now, but about kind of love and romance and all those type of ideas. What other notes do I have? So that's, she is named as one of the 50 greatest Welsh people of all time. I don't know how many great people are from Wales, but she's one of them, so I guess that's cool. So yeah, this is an original copy of this record, original pressing. This was released while she was signed to United Artists. So I'll just give you a brief tour of it. So this looks like on the inside, just kind of stretching her legs on the couch, wearing her jewelry. The Migos will be proud. I'll pull it out for you. So it's also in the original sleeve, which is cool. Some of these sleeves don't have really anything on them, and then some of them have a bunch of stuff on them. So this one is called the inner sleeve. It's like a newspaper. And the condition of the record itself, kind of the main reason I bought it, you probably can't really tell from where you're sitting, but the condition of the record is really good. Given that this album came out in 1973, that's what, 57 years ago? Nah, it's 47. Yeah, 47 years ago. Given this was physically made 47 years ago, and it's still like great listening quality, not a lot of scratches. I don't recall hearing any like distortions or anything. It's really good, I guess. And the fact that it only costs $5 makes me happy. So, yeah, that's the condition of the record. Like I said, you probably can't see it very well from where I have the camera set up, but I guess just take my word on it. Right. And so I guess I'll talk about the record a little bit as I'm putting this away. So like I said, it came out in 1973, and not going to go over the album song by song because I didn't care for it that much. I'm going to keep this album, but it's not something that I'm going to listen to frequently or I'm going to cherish. But I'll just read off the song titles, and from these song titles alone, you can kind of get the idea of what the themes are for this record. So the song titles are Never Never Never, Baby I May Want You, Someone Who Cares, The Old Fashioned Way, I Won't Last a Day Without You, Somehow, and then on side 2, There's No Such Thing as Love, Killing Me Softly with his song Going Going Gone, No Regrets, Together, Make the World a Little Younger. So like I said, this whole album is kind of thematically, from the lyrical perspective, is centered around like love and romance and relationship, which is, I think, pretty standard for kind of R&B in that time period back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. You didn't really start getting away from those ideas until you moved into the 80s, where R&B kind of started exploring different topics, and maybe they had something to do with disco and its effect on kind of the disco night scene and its effect on lyrics, but that's for another day. So I should say, like, from the instrumentation point of view, it's very orchestral. So they actually use a live orchestra while making this album, or I don't know if it was live, but they used an orchestra while making this album. So it definitely has an orchestral feel. It makes, as you're listening to this, it sounds very grand and like large, like it takes up the space. But her voice is powerful enough to fill that space as well. So it's not like you just hear all these like orchestra instruments like violas, violins, and French horns. Like those things don't overpower her singing. So she's able to command the space with her voice, and like her voice can compete with the instrumentation itself. So it's like very, very lush sounding. So it's like a very pleasant listening experience the entire time. But like I said, only one song really jumped out to me. Everything else just kind of like flowed, and it was nice, like I said, but it wasn't like, man, I'm so pumped that I got this. But the one song that jumped out to me that, as I was reading the songs off, might have stuck out to some of you all, is the song Killing Me Softly with his song. So if you know the Fugees, you've heard Lauryn Hill sing that song before, but that song goes back a whole lot further than her. So the first person to sing that song was Lori Lieberman, But her version, and I think that was in 1972, her version of the song didn't really do anything, didn't really get popular, but apparently Roberta Flack heard her version, her Lori Lieberman's version, as she was on the plane, and she, like, from listening to it, kind of wrote down what she thought was like the melody and all of those like instrumentation parts of the song, wrote all that stuff down, and made some adjustments to it, and made her own version of it. And apparently the first time she performed it was when she was opening for Marvin Gaye, and the crowd wanted an encore, and so she had played all the songs that she had planned to play. So she told him like, hey, I have this like song that I've been like working on, do you think I should play that? And he was like, yeah, go and play it. And she played it, and the crowd loved it. And then he was like, never play it again until you get the chance to record it. So she eventually recorded it, went on to a huge success. She won a Grammy for it in 1973. And if you're older than my generation, you probably know her version of that song, Killing Me Softly, much better than you know the Lauryn Hill Fugees version. But nonetheless, very good song. So when that song came on, I was like, whoa, I didn't know that song was going to be here. Because I could have flipped it over and looked at the track list, but I didn't do that. So Shirley Bassey's version of the song is good as well, because she's a talented singer, so she does it justice in that aspect. I do think that Roberta Flack's version of the song is much more somber, and I think the emotion that she gives the song like just kind of punches you a little more, but they're both good versions nonetheless. So I think that's about it I have to say for this record. Like I said, it's a good record. It's going to stay in my collection because it is like nice to listen to. It's very pleasant. I don't know when the next time it's going to be that I listen to it, because I have quite a few records at this point, and I buy more than I can keep up listening to them. So I have a whole crate over there of records that it's probably about 30 or so right now that I have bought that I haven't listened to yet. So I'll come back around to it at some point. Maybe when I'm in the mood for it, I'll listen to it. But that's it for now. Some point in the future, I have, like I said before, I have 3 kind of boxes, crates over there. One, all records that I've listened to. Another one, records that I've listened to that I like, part of my, like, I guess, personal collection, ones that I hope to keep for as long as possible. And another section of things that I haven't gotten around to listen to. So maybe at some point I'll kind of go through each of those, show you what I've listened to that I like but aren't my favorites, show you my favorites, and show you kind of the things that are in the back catalog waiting to be listened to. So that's it for now. See you next Thursday. Thanks for watching.